Okay, imagine this. You step into, say, a coffee shop for a first date. Your heart's doing that little nervous flutter, right?
Hmm.
And you're scanning the room, looking for that face you maybe only saw online. Or, okay, maybe you're just opening a dating app trying to craft that perfect profile.
Right, that digital first step.
Exactly. And in that precise moment, like before you've even managed to say hello or type a single word,
Yep.
a complete and often like weirdly accurate picture of who you are, what you're about,
Yeah.
even maybe your deeper intentions, it's already forming in someone else's mind.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it that way.
It is. It's a shocking thought, isn't it? Because in the modern dating world, we're talking 2024, 2025.
Mm.
Your window to make a lasting impression, it's shrunk. We're talking mere seconds.
It's absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
Psychologists call it the thin slicing effect. We form these full opinions based on tiny.
Microsignals. Okay.
Yeah, and it's way more powerful than most people really realize. Like you said, before you even open your mouth, your tone of voice, your posture, how you make eye contact or don't, the little ways you might fidget, or maybe you seem super calm. Even something as subtle as how you hold your glass, or if your arms are crossed.
Really?
Even that. Oh, absolutely. These things are painting this vivid, complete picture of you and the other person's mind. They aren't just minor details. They're like these incredibly powerful, almost ancient data points.
Wow.
Yeah, they contribute to this immediate, often totally subconscious judgment. Our brains, they're just wired for this kind of rapid assessment, always scanning for cues, safety, confidence, maybe even vulnerability.
So, okay, our brains are basically like these high-speed supercomputers processing all these tiny, almost invisible cues.
Yeah.
What does this actually mean for you, the listener, trying to navigate dating today?
Well, that's what we want to get into.
Right. By the end of this deep dive, you'll understand why nailing that first impression isn't just about, getting a second date. It's really about authentically connecting in a world that just moves faster and, frankly, makes judgments quicker than ever before.
Exactly. It's about genuine connection, not just tactics.
So, welcome. Our mission today is to really dive deep into this critical art, making a genuine, impactful first impression in today's dating scene. And let's be clear, this isn't about manipulation, right?
Not at all.
No.
It's about clarity. It's about intention, and it's about showing up as your most authentic self so you can navigate that subtle, kind of intricate dance of connection.
Yeah, authenticity with awareness. You're listening to Stereo Butterflies. We talk about love, lust, and loneliness like no one's listening. This episode was crafted with the help of AI technology to ensure high-quality insights.
Okay, so let's really unpack that idea of the unseen forces. Because first impressions, they're not just important anymore. In many ways, they're almost everything in the dating scene today.
Everything.
That's
Sounds intense.
Well, think about it. That timeline for judgment,
Mm.
it is just compressed drastically.
Mm.
Whether you're scrolling through a profile someone spent hours on,
Mm.
or that very first instant you sit across from someone at a coffee table,
Mm.
people are making these snap judgments. Like snap.
Instantly.
Your window to make a really memorable, positive impression is literally measured in seconds. It's this rapid-fire assessment. It can feel almost unfair, honestly.
Yeah, like you don't even get a chance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's just the profound reality of how our minds process new information, especially when they're evaluating, potential connections, romantic or otherwise.
So our brains are on hyperspeed, taking in all this data from stuff that seems insignificant, and that's where this thin slicing thing really comes in, right?
Yeah.
Why are these tiny signals so powerful for those snap judgments?
Right. Well, this phenomenon, it's actually rooted deep in our evolutionary instincts, survival stuff.
Oh, okay. Makes sense.
Our brains are just wired to quickly assess threat or opportunity.
Yeah,
It's a fundamental. So when we meet someone new, these subtle cues, these microsignals like, say, an open posture versus crossed arms or steady eye contact, they're like these ancient signals of safety, approachability. They kind of bypass conscious thought. They send these almost instantaneous messages to the other person's subconscious about whether you're a friend or foe, safe or risky, all within milliseconds.
Wow, milliseconds.
Yeah. Think about the inflection in your voice when you just say hello, or how you carry yourself walking into a room, the steadiness or maybe the lack of steadiness in your gaze, even how you subtly interact with an object, like picking up a menu.
Little things.
Tiny things. But they're all microsignals, and they contribute to these disproportionately large perceptions about your personality, your confidence, maybe even your intentions. Your brain is basically assembling a coherent story about someone from the briefest, tiniest glimpses.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It's really digging into the subconscious. So it's not just what you say you do, but what your body is just communicating inherently.
Precisely.
And then there's this other thing, the halo effect. That feels like another cognitive bias that's just super potent in dating.
Ah.
How does that amplify these snap judgments?
Oh, the halo effect is a big one in dating.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, our brain takes one positive attribute it notices, and then, almost like ripples in a pond, it generalizes that positive feeling across other totally unrelated qualities.
Okay, so like if someone looks good, we assume they're also nice.
Exactly. Or if someone appears, say, well put together, maybe meticulous grooming, a confident walk, a really genuine smile, our brains can subconsciously infer that they're also intelligent or kind or successful or emotionally stable, even if we have zero direct evidence for any of that.
Wow, that's powerful.
It really is, and the implication here is profound. Someone might dismiss you entirely, not because of anything you actually said or who you genuinely are deep down, but because of something that seems so minor, like a slightly unbuttoned cuff that looks messy, or a stray hair, or even just a subtle slouch that unconsciously triggered a negative bias in their brain.
So a small thing can create a huge negative perception.
Exactly. That bias can link that tiny detail to much broader negative traits: carelessness, disinterest, maybe even a lack of self-respect, even if those things aren't remotely true about you. It's like this invisible barrier you can accidentally put up just because your presentation wasn't quite aligned. It just really underscores the immense power of nonverbal communication. It's a silent language that speaks volumes way before you've even had a chance to utter a single word.
And this all gets amplified, I think, by what we could call hybrid dating, right? Because the
Yep.
journey often starts online now.
Totally. Dating apps,
You're
messages.
swiping profiles, exchanging messages, maybe do a quick video call, and then it transitions to that first actual in-person meetup.
Right, the moment of truth.
Yeah, and that hybrid model makes the initial physical impression even more loaded, I guess, more impactful, because you've already built up this digital persona.
That's a great point. The in-person meeting becomes the ultimate validation. Or sometimes, yeah, the crushing debunking of that perceived reality you built online.
It's like a real-world audition, almost. A slightly wrinkled shirt that you couldn't see on the video call, or maybe a lingering scent of, I don't know, stale coffee, or just a consistent lack of eye contact that wasn't obvious on FaceTime.
Yeah, things you don't pick up digitally.
Right. And those things can unintentionally say way more about you than you realize. Maybe it suggests carelessness or nervousness or even a subtle lack of respect for the date. It creates this dissonance, right, between the online you and the offline you. And that can be really jarring for the other person.
Absolutely. And this whole context, this hybrid journey, it makes those body language cues, the meticulous grooming we talked about, and having an intentional mindset. It makes them not just helpful, but genuinely indispensable tools in your modern dating arsenal.
Yep.
It's really about ensuring your physical presence aligns seamlessly with the authentic impression you actually want to convey. You want to create this cohesive, trustworthy image right from that very first glance.
Okay, so the stakes are pretty high, especially in this hybrid world. And it's no wonder people cling to old advice, right? But you're saying a lot of those tried and true tips are actually sabotaging your chances. They're working against these subconscious forces we're talking about.
That's often the case, yeah. So many dating myths persist.
So let's bust some of those common myths, starting with what feels like the biggest one, the one everyone throws around. Just be yourself is enough. It sounds so liberating, so authentic, doesn't it?
Ah, the classic advice, usually well-intentioned, but often dangerously incomplete. Here's the reality check. Authenticity. Absolutely paramount. You want to find someone who connects with the real you, of course.
Right.
But that doesn't mean showing up totally unfiltered, unprepared, or without any kind of intentionality. There's a huge difference between being genuinely natural and just being careless
What?
or inconsiderate.
Okay, unpack that difference. Natural versus careless.
Well, when people say just be yourself, they often imply this sort of unfiltered stream of consciousness, like no thought about how you're presenting. But think about it. People want you to be genuine, yes. They crave realness. But they also expect you to be respectable, to be present, to be emotionally tuned in. It's about bringing your intentionally refined, authentic self.
Intentionally refined. I like that.
Yeah, think of it like a musician practicing. They're still totally authentic to their musical style, right?
Sure.
But they've honed their skills. They make sure their performance is polished, not just sloppy. Similarly, bringing your best self to a date means you've actually reflected on your values, your energy, how you genuinely want to show up,
Hmm.
rather than just letting whatever random mood hits you dictate the whole interaction.
So it's not about being fake.
Not at all. It's about being intentional with your authenticity, knowing yourself and presenting that self thoughtfully.
That's a really powerful distinction because intentional authenticity implies self-awareness and effort, not just kinda laissez-faire comfort.
Mm.
But isn't there a risk then of becoming too guarded? Like, how do you balance being kind with maintaining boundaries without seeming cold?
That's a great question, and it leads right into myth number 2. Being super nice guarantees success.
Ah, yes, the nice guy or nice girl myth.
Exactly. We're often taught, be agreeable, be pleasant, never ruffle feathers, but there's such a fine line.
Yeah.
You've really hit on a major underlying issue in dating, and it circles back to this idea of boundaries. Kindness, absolutely fundamental, it's non-negotiable. But being overly agreeable, that can actually be profoundly misconstrued.
How so? Misconstrued as what?
Well, it can signal low confidence,
Hmm?
or maybe a perceived a lack of conviction, like you don't have your own opinions, or even, ironically, it can come across as a lack of genuine interest because you're not really bringing your unique perspective to the table. You're just mirroring.
Mm.
And in 2025, I think daters are becoming more emotionally intelligent. They can often discern that sort of performative kindness, which usually comes from a deep desire to please, from genuine warmth, which actually comes from a place of self-respect and security.
So people can tell a difference.
Often, yes. They're looking for someone with a bit of a backbone, someone who has opinions and isn't afraid to express them respectfully, someone who can kindly say no when something doesn't feel right.
Right. Not just a people pleaser.
Exactly. So the actionable insight here is focus on being genuinely kind with boundaries rather than being overly compliant. Don't be a doormat. Be a genuinely warm person who also knows their own worth and can hold their own space. True warmth comes from a place of secure strength, not from a desperate need to be liked by everyone.
That's a truly profound difference. Genuine warmth from strength, not neediness. Okay, moving on. Myth number 3. Impressing with expensive venues or long, boastful stories will win them over. We see this trope all the time, right? Grand gestures, lavish dinners.
Oh yeah, the movie version of dating. And honestly, this approach, surprisingly often, it can backfire, like spectacularly.
Really? Why?
Modern daters, pretty much across the board, are increasingly preferring low-pressure environments. They want a coffee shop, maybe a walk in the park, a casual wine bar, places that actually facilitate genuine connection, not some kind of performance or show.
Okay.
Spending a fortune on a super fancy dinner can actually make a date feel like a job interview, or worse, like some kind of transactional exchange, rather than an organic, relaxed, getting-to-know-you session. It puts immense pressure on both people.
Yeah, I can see that.
And dominating the conversation, or overtly flexing your successes, your achievements.
Mm-hmm.
It rarely signals real confidence. More often, it actually signals deep insecurity, like you feel you need to convince someone of your worth, rather than just letting it naturally shine through your actions and conversation.
Makes sense.
It creates this imbalance, and it often leaves the other person feeling unheard, maybe a bit intimidated, or honestly just plain bored. The goal isn't to be impressive, it's to be interesting, and crucially interested.
That resonates. Creating space for authentic connection, not a one-person show. Okay, final myth for this section. Rehearsed pickup lines or dating scripts actually work. Oh God, the dreaded canned lines. We've all encountered them, haven't we?
Oh yeah, that moment you realize someone's just reciting something they probably found online or on TikTok.
Cringe.
Total cringe. And the unanimous verdict, seriously, across almost every dating forum, every shared anecdote, every bit of common human experience, is that canned lines feel utterly robotic and painfully inauthentic.
They just fall flat.
Completely flat. They strip away any possibility of genuine spontaneity or actual connection. They basically signal a lack of effort to be original, and often, lack of confidence to simply speak from the heart or just be normally conversational.
So what does work instead?
What truly works? Conversational depth. Genuine curiosity about the other person, like really wanting to know who they are. And asking those open-ended questions we talked about, the ones that invite them to share their world, their perspectives, their passions.
Yeah.
Those are the pathways to creating genuine, memorable moments, not some pre-packaged artificial dialogue that just screams, I'm following a script.
Right. Be a human talking to another human. Okay, so we've busted some pretty pervasive myths that can really get in the way of connection. That's a great start. Now, let's pivot a bit. Let's move from the external performance stuff to what you call the inner game.
Yes.
We're not just talking about what you wear or what you say anymore, but really about cultivating clarity, calmness, and purpose before you even step out the door. And it all starts, fundamentally, with intention, right?
This is absolutely foundational. Before any external preparation, before you even think about your outfit or what clever thing you might say, you really need to define your purpose for dating in this moment.
Okay. Like, what am I actually looking for?
Exactly. Are you genuinely seeking a deep, lasting connection? Maybe exploring the possibility of a serious relationship? Or are you maybe looking for more lighthearted fun, companionship, exploring your options without heavy pressure? Or is it something else entirely?
Why is that clarity so important up front?
Because that clarity provides crucial grounding. It helps prevent what we see so often as a major source of first date disappointment: misaligned expectations.
Wow. Okay.
Often it's not that the other person did something wrong per se. It's just that your internal intentions, what you were hoping for from the date, didn't actually match what the experience offered.
Right. You wanted X, they were offering Y.
Precisely. Being clear on your why helps you stay present during the date. It prevents you from getting prematurely emotionally overinvested, and it allows you to approach the date from a place of authentic desire, not just some vague hope. It's about being your own compass, navigating with purpose.
That's incredibly powerful, because if you know what you're looking for, you're not just like drifting and hoping for the best. You're actively steering towards something that feels meaningful for you.
Exactly.
Okay. And then the big one. The universal experience that plagues pretty much all of us, managing anxiety, first date nerves, are, let's be honest, universal.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone feels them.
From those little stomach jitters to like full-blown pre-date panic, what's the secret? How do we handle that?
Yeah, the overthinking, replaying scenarios, trying to predict outcomes. It can be incredibly draining and totally self-sabotaging. The trick, and it's simple but really profound, is to consciously shift your focus.
Shift focus from what to what?
Instead of focusing on the crushing pressure of trying to impress,
Yeah.
actively cultivate genuine curiosity.
Curiosity. Huh.
Approach the date not as some kind of audition where you're being judged or a trial you absolutely must pass,
Yep.
but as a genuine conversation between two unique human beings. What can you learn about this person? What makes them tick? What's their story? This simple reframing can drastically reduce that internal pressure and allow you to actually relax into the moment. When you're genuinely curious about someone else, the spotlight kind of shifts off of you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And the anxiety often takes a back seat, allowing your more authentic, relaxed self to actually emerge.
Yeah.
It's about moving from that feeling of performance anxiety to just genuine human interest.
That's a beautiful way to put it. Instead of performing, you're exploring, both them and maybe yourself in that interaction. Okay, and part of that exploration, and maybe critical self-care too, is setting personal boundaries beforehand. This seems crucial for maintaining that sense of grounding we talked about.
Precisely. Before you even arrive, get some internal clarity on what you're comfortable with and what you're not. And this isn't about creating rigid rules for the other person. It's about knowing your own comfort zone, your own landscape.
Okay, so like what specifically?
Well, consider specific scenarios. Are you okay discussing past relationships on a first date? Some people are, some aren't. Or is that maybe a boundary you'd prefer to keep for later until more trust is built?
Right.
Are you open to spontaneous changes in venue if the vibe is right? Or would you prefer, for your own comfort on a first meeting, to stick to the original plan?
Good questions to ask yourself.
Yeah. Predefining these boundaries helps you immensely during the date itself. It prevents you from feeling suddenly off balance or pressured into something, or maybe regretting a decision you made in the heat of the moment.
Gotcha.
It gives you this profound sense of control and self-respect. It allows you to navigate the interaction with integrity. You're just less likely to be swayed into something you're not truly comfortable with when you've already decided internally where your lines are.
This is really about being proactive with your own emotional well-being, isn't it? Which often gets overlooked in the rush to just make a good impression.
Totally overlooked.
Yeah.
And it's so important.
Okay, and finally, on this inner game stuff, defining your own markers of success for a date. We often fall into those traditional definitions, right? A good date means a kiss, or success equals getting a second date. But what if we challenge those metrics?
Oh, we absolutely should challenge them. Those traditional metrics can put immense unnecessary pressure on you. They set you up for this feeling of perceived failure, even if the date was actually positive in other ways.
So what are some alternative wins?
Well, challenge them. Maybe success for this particular date is simply having a really stimulating conversation. Or maybe it's about practicing genuine presence and active listening, just honing those crucial communication skills.
Okay.
Or perhaps success is simply showing up as your most authentic self, feeling good about how you presented, regardless of the romantic outcome.
Yeah.
When you broaden your definition of success beyond just, did they like me, or did I get a second date, every single date becomes an opportunity for growth and learning. It's not just a pass or fail test dictated by external validation anymore.
Right.
You take away valuable insights about yourself, about others, even if no big romantic connection sparks right away. It transforms the whole experience from this high-stakes gamble into more of a journey of self-discovery and connection.
That's a fantastic mindset shift. It really makes you rethink the entire purpose of going on a date, doesn't it? Okay, now that we've hopefully tuned into our inner game a bit more, let's transition to the outer game.
Right, the more tangible stuff.
Yeah, your appearance, your grooming. Because look, you don't need supermodel looks or a designer wardrobe to make a lasting impression, we know that. But demonstrating that you actually put in some effort, that seems absolutely crucial.
This cannot be overstated. Effort communicates respect. Simple as that. Respect for yourself and respect for your date and their time. It signals that you actually value the encounter.
So when choosing what to wear, what are the key things to keep in mind?
The criteria are pretty simple, but they're impactful. Select an outfit that genuinely boosts your confidence, something you feel good in. Make sure it's appropriate for the chosen location. Don't wear a suit to a dive bar, all right?
Right.
And generally, avoid being overly flashy or distracting. You want you to be the focus, not necessarily your clothes.
Can you give an example, like coffee date versus something else?
Sure. So if you're meeting for a casual coffee, like we said, a blazer and fancy Oxfords might feel kind of stiff, out of place. It might signal you're trying way too hard, or you completely misread the casual vibe.
Okay.
Instead, a neat, well-fitting t-shirt, or maybe a simple button-down shirt, clean sneakers, well-fitted jeans.
That's perfect.
It says, I'm relaxed, I'm comfortable in my own skin, which is actually incredibly attractive and inviting. The key is to dress for the occasion and for your own comfort, making sure your clothing isn't sort of fighting against the impression you want to make.
That makes perfect sense, aligning your look with the vibe and your own comfort.
Okay.
And then there are those non-negotiable grooming essentials, the stuff that often gets overlooked but really, really shouldn't.
Oh, these are the silent make-or-break elements, the subtle signals that just scream volumes about your attention to detail. We're talking fresh breath, seriously, non-negotiable.
Please, yes.
Impeccably clean nails. And hair that clearly shows you didn't just roll out of bed 10 minutes before walking in.
Why are these seemingly small things so impactful?
Well, these details, they might seem minor, almost trivial,
Yeah.
right? But they contribute significantly to that immediate halo effect we talked about earlier. Clean nails aren't just about hygiene. They subconsciously signal attention to detail, self-respect, maybe even a level of organization in your life that just appeals on a gut level. They suggest you care about the small things. And particularly in dating discussions online, you see it all the time, poor grooming is a frequently mentioned deal breaker, often cited by women especially, as a significant turnoff.
Why is that, do you think?
Well, the thinking often goes, it signals a lack of care. And if you don't care about these basic things for yourself or for meeting someone new,
Yeah.
what else might you not care about down the line?
Okay. Extrapolating from the small stuff. It's those little things speaking volumes about attention to detail and self-care.
Okay, speaking of speaking volumes,
Mhm.
what about the subtle power of scent? It can be alluring, sure, but it can also be way too much.
Yeah, scent is a tricky one. A subtle, fresh-smelling cologne or perfume. It can definitely be distinct and memorable. It can add this intriguing layer to your presence, create an almost subconscious positive association.
Right.
But, and this is a crucial caveat, do not overdo it, please. You're aiming for just a hint, right? An invitation maybe to lean in slightly, not an overwhelming cloud of fragrance that pushes people away before they've even gotten close enough to say hello.
Right. Don't marinate in it.
Exactly. Your overall presence should invite curiosity, not just overwhelm the senses. Think of it as like a whispered suggestion, not a shout. Over-applying scent can actually trigger negative associations like you're trying too hard, or maybe trying to cover something up, or you're just insensitive to others' personal space. It's about enhancing subtly, not masking or overpowering. That's great advice. Less is definitely more there. Okay, and then something often overlooked, but it silently communicates so much. Posture.
Oh, it's remarkable how much posture communicates before you've even said a single word. Standing and sitting with an open, relaxed posture. It conveys confidence, approachability, emotional openness.
What does open posture look like, practically?
Think relaxed shoulders, not hunched up by your ears. Arms uncrossed, generally resting comfortably. Your torso generally facing your date. This posture literally says nonverbally, I'm open to you, I'm comfortable here, I'm engaged in this.
And the opposite. Slouching, crossed arms.
Conversely, yes, slouching, constantly cross arms, or maybe even turning your body slightly away. These can subconsciously signal nervousness, disinterest, insecurity, or even a kind of closed-off personality, even if that's not how you feel inside at all. And like we mentioned, on platforms like Reddit's dating advice forums, poor posture comes up all the time as a turnoff. It often outweighs charming conversation because it creates that immediate, invisible barrier we talked about. It's a really foundational element of nonverbal communication that affects how your entire presence is perceived from moment one.
So, your body is literally telling a story without you saying anything. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Let's talk about setting the scene. Choosing the right location for a great first impression. Because that old idea that a fancier venue automatically equals a better impression, that feels definitely outdated now, doesn't it? Almost like a relic from a different era of dating.
Oh, absolutely. That thinking belongs in a different century, frankly. The modern trend in dating culture, it strongly favors casual, conversation-conducive environments. The goal of a first date, remember, isn't to impress with your wallet or show off with lavish surroundings.
Right. What is the goal then?
It's to genuinely connect, to see if there's a real spark there, a shared human connection. That's why the top choices for first dates in, say, 2025, they gravitate towards specific types of venues that really prioritize that connection over just ostentation or showiness.
Okay, so what are we looking at for smart venue choices these days? Give us some specific examples.
Definitely think coffee shots. They provide that relaxed, low-commitment atmosphere. If things aren't quite clicking, it's super easy to wrap up politely after one drink without feeling trapped in a long, expensive meal. Plus, they allow for easy, light conversation.
Makes sense. What else?
Parks or botanical gardens are great. They offer those open-air settings that naturally reduce pressure. You can stroll, there are things to look at, natural conversation starters. It reduces the intensity of just sitting across the table staring at each other.
Yeah, takes the pressure off eye contact, too.
Exactly. And for people who find it easier to bond through shared movement, a walk and talk setup is ideal. Just grab coffees and walk. It keeps the energy flowing, reduces static awkwardness, and again, takes some pressure off constant direct eye contact.
I like that one.
And maybe for a slightly more intimate but still relaxed vibe, you could consider wine bars or maybe even dessert cafes.
Yeah.
They allow for small indulgences, a bit more of an evening feel maybe, but without creating an overwhelming or overly formal atmosphere. The key across all of these is finding an environment that feels genuinely conducive to authentic dialogue, not performance.
These really sound like environments that foster genuine connection, giving space for personalities to actually emerge naturally. So what are the big overarching benefits of choosing these types of spots over, say, that fancy white tablecloth restaurant?
Well, the primary benefits are that these settings enable both of you to be fully present, observant, and genuinely relaxed. When you're comfortable, your authentic self shines through much more easily without feeling like you're under a spotlight or need to perform.
Right. Comfort is key.
And that comfort naturally reduces anxiety for both people. Crucially, too, they offer critical flexibility. It's much easier to either leave gracefully if there's just no connection after 45 minutes.
Yeah, the easy out.
Exactly. Or, on the flip side, it's easier to extend the date naturally if things are going well. Maybe you go from coffee to a stroll in the park nearby, or from the wine bar to a quick walk afterwards. This organic flow is essential. It mimics how real connections actually develop rather than trying to force them into some rigid schedule. It respects both people's time and the genuine chemistry or lack thereof.
So if those are the top choices, what kinds of locations should we be actively avoiding for a first date and why? Beyond just loud or formal, what's the real underlying issue?
Definitely steer clear of loud nightclubs. Obvious reasons, meaningful conversations is nearly impossible. You're just shouting over music.
Right.
Avoid overly formal dinners usually. They can feel stiff, intimidating, create performance anxiety.
Yeah.
You end up focusing more on table manners than actually connecting. And packed cinemas. That just defeats the purpose entirely. You're sitting in silence, staring at a screen, not interacting. You're there to get to know the person, not watch a movie side by side silently.
Okay, makes sense. Any others?
Also, try to avoid venues with really fixed reservation times or rigid meal durations. Those structures just remove the natural spontaneity and flexibility that really benefit first dates. You don't want to feel rushed by the clock or trapped if it's not going well, or feel like the date has this artificial end time.
Gotcha.
The underlying issue with all these problematic venues is that they fundamentally obstruct conversation and natural flow. They make it nearly impossible to genuinely connect on a human level.
That makes perfect sense. The goal is open, easy connection, not a scheduled event or some kind of obstacle course. And I guess the impact of comfort, just feeling comfortable in the space, plays a huge role here for both people, right?
Oh, absolutely. This is paramount. If your date feels out of place or rushed or just overstimulated by the environment, maybe it's too loud for them, too bright, too formal for their taste. Even the most captivating personality might struggle to make a positive impression.
Why is that?
Because their discomfort will overshadow their ability to relax, be themselves, and actually connect with you. The environment sets the stage for genuine interaction. And if the stage itself is uncomfortable or distracting, the performance of the interaction is going to suffer regardless of the talent involved.
Yeah.
Plus, it can unconsciously signal that maybe you didn't consider their comfort when choosing the place, which can immediately erode that initial rapport.
Okay, this brings us beautifully to the very heart of connection. The art of conversation itself, because great conversation, as we're learning, seems to be less about crafting these perfect statements and significantly more about the actual quality of your listening. It's not a monologue, right? It's a dynamic exchange. That's the core principle, absolutely. It's the true superpower of a great conversationalist. So many people approach a date thinking, okay, what clever thing can I say next? How can I impress them with my witty retort?
Guilty sometimes.
We all do it. But the real power lies in truly hearing, understanding, and validating what the other person is actually communicating. It's about making them feel genuinely heard and understood, which is honestly one of the deepest human desires we have.
So how do we do that better? How do we spark those deeper stories?
Well, advocate for using open-ended questions. Questions that encourage a narrative, a story, rather than just a simple, factual yes-no answer.
Okay, so instead of a closed question like, do you like movies? Which just gets a yes or no. What would be a better, more story-provoking question? Give us some examples of that open-ended magic.
Precisely. Instead of do you like movies, try something like, what's something you've always wanted to try? Maybe a skill or an experience, but haven't gotten around to yet.
Ooh, I like that.
Right. It invites a personal anecdote, it reveals aspirations, or maybe what does your perfect weekend look like if time and money were no object? That can uncover passions, values, what they truly enjoy.
Yeah.
Or even something lighter like, what's one random skill you wish you had and why? That can reveal their sense of humor or just a unique perspective. These types of questions, they naturally reveal personality. They reduce pressure because there's no single right answer, and they allow for these organic transitions into shared interests. They invite a story, not just a fact. And stories are how we truly connect as humans.
Those are fantastic. They really do open up the conversation and invite deeper sharing. Now, on the flip side, what topics should we maybe thoughtfully avoid, especially early on, the ones that can be instant conversational landmines?
Yeah, there are definitely some conversational minefields out there that can quickly derail a first date and leave a really sour impression. Generally, it's wise to avoid highly controversial subjects, right? Like politics or religion, unless you somehow have prior knowledge that your date is genuinely open to discussing those things and maybe shares your intellectual curiosity or even your views.
Tread carefully there.
Very carefully. These topics can be incredibly polarizing and create immediate tension or disagreement, which isn't usually ideal for a first meeting. Also, crucially, avoid oversharing too quickly. This is such a common pitfall.
Oversharing, like what?
Like diving deep into past relationships, especially negative ones. Avoid the dating app horror stories rant. Steer clear of detailed personal finances or really sensitive health issues right off the bat.
Why is that so bad? Isn't vulnerability good?
Vulnerability is good, eventually.
Yeah.
But a common objection you hear from daters, especially online, is when someone trauma dumps or overshares deeply personal stuff way too early. True vulnerability, the kind that builds intimacy, it requires mutual consent and established context. It's built on trust, revealed gradually, not just rushed out of the gate on date one.
Right. It can feel like too much, too soon.
Exactly. They can make the other person feel uncomfortable or burdened or simply like you're maybe not emotionally regulated enough for a new connection yet.
That's a huge one. It's easy to slip into that trauma dump if you're not careful, especially if you're nervous or trying too hard to connect quickly. Okay, but what about those inevitable, dreaded, awkward silences? We all dread them, but they will happen. How do you gracefully handle them without making them even more awkward?
Right. Awkward silences are just a normal part of human interaction, especially on first dates, where there's that natural tension. The absolute key is not to panic. Don't feel like you have to fill every single microsecond with chatter. That often makes it worse.
So what do you do?
The practical technique is to utilize environmental cues. Just look around you. Notice something specific in your shared environment. You could say something simple like, oh, that's a cool song playing. Do you usually listen to this kind of music or is this new for you?
Ah, use the surroundings.
Exactly. Or, I haven't tried this particular coffee drink before. Have you? What do you think? This approach shifts the energy smoothly, away from internal panic, oh God, silence, towards external observation. It keeps the conversation feeling natural and unforced.
Yeah.
It's a simple pivot that demonstrates your presence, your awareness of your surroundings, and it often provides a really natural springboard for a completely new line of conversation without feeling forced or artificial. Plus, it shows you're comfortable even in a brief silence, which itself is actually a confidence signal.
That's brilliant. It's about finding an anchor in the shared experience, something tangible to pivot to. Okay, and this all ties back really to the profound power of active listening, doesn't it? Beyond just hearing words, what does active listening truly entail on a first date?
It truly does. Active listening is so much more than just waiting politely for your turn to speak. It has several key components that profoundly impact that feeling of connection.
Like what?
Like maintaining appropriate eye contact, which we talked about earlier, that engaging gaze, not the intense stare. Reacting with genuine facial expressions that actually match the tone of what they're saying. A real smile, a sympathetic nod, raised eyebrows in surprise.
Okay.
And actively building on what your date says rather than just using their pause as a chance to jump to your own pre-planned topic or story. This means asking follow-up questions about their points, maybe reflecting back what you heard to ensure you understood correctly, showing genuine curiosity about their narrative.
And the impact of doing that well.
The profound impact of this is often overlooked.
Yeah.
People consistently remember how you made them feel far more vividly than the specific words you actually uttered.
That's powerful.
If you make someone feel truly seen, genuinely heard, and valued through your active listening, that's an unforgettable impression. It transcends any script, any perfect line you could possibly deliver. It creates real emotional resonance.
So it's not just about hearing, it's about deeply connecting on that emotional level. And often, that connection happens without a single word being spoken. Which brings us perfectly to speaking without words, body language, nonverbal signals, the stuff that builds instant connection, almost like a secret language.
This is such a critical area, and often so underestimated. Your words matter, of course they do. But your nonverbal communication, it often speaks louder and, frankly, more truthfully than your words ever could.
More truthfully, how so?
Because it's harder to fake consistently. Research suggests body language accounts for over 50% of first impressions. And in dating, I'd argue the percentage is likely even higher because of that initial instinctual assessment we keep talking about. It's the subconscious read that informs so much of that initial attraction and feeling of comfort. It's like the silent narrator of your presence.
Okay, so where do we start with harnessing that powerful nonverbal communication? What's maybe the most fundamental tool in that toolbox?
Let's start with eye contact. It's one of the simplest yet most profoundly powerful tools for building connection and trust.
We touched on it, but let's go deeper.
Right. A soft, engaging gaze, and this is key, not an intense, unblinking stare that can feel aggressive or frankly kind of creepy.
Right. Avoid the serial killer stare.
Please. Paired with an occasional warm, genuine smile, it signals sincere interest and presence. It fosters warmth, trust, a sense of psychological safety. It basically says non-verbally, I'm here with you, I'm fully present.
But not too much.
Exactly. Caution is necessary. Overdoing eye contact can be misread as aggression or it can make the other person uncomfortable. So aim for a natural flow, just like you would in a comfortable conversation with a friend. Look, listen, maybe glance away for a brief moment of thought, then gently re-engage. It should feel easy, not forced.
Okay, natural flow. Got it. And what about posture again? We touched on it with grooming, but how deeply does it affect our perceived openness in the moment?
Posture is a massive silent communicator. An open posture, remember, shoulders relaxed, arms uncrossed, torso generally facing your date. It conveys emotional availability, genuine engagement, and confidence. It literally says, I'm open to you, I have nothing to hide, I'm comfortable in this moment.
And the opposite, the closed-off look.
Exactly. Slouching, constantly crossed arms, turning your body away. That can subconsciously signal disinterest, insecurity, or even a closed-off personality, even if that's not how you feel inside at all. And as we noted, poor posture is a frequently cited turnoff online. It often outweighs charming conversation because it creates that immediate invisible barrier to connection. It's like an unconscious rejection before words are even exchanged.
That's wild how much impact something so seemingly subtle can have on that initial gut feeling. Okay, what about mirroring? I've heard that can be powerful for building rapport, but it also sounds a bit, I don't know, manipulative if you're not careful.
It can be incredibly powerful, yes, but only when done naturally and subtly. The key words there are natural and subtle. Mirroring involves unconsciously, or sometimes consciously, replicating small, non-obvious actions of the other person.
Like what kind of actions?
For example, if your date takes a sip of their drink, you might do the same a moment later without even thinking about it. If they lean in slightly to hear you better, you might subtly match that lean.
So it's not about mimicking everything they do.
God, no. That would be creepy and obvious. When it's organic, it's not manipulation. It's actually a natural process of creating a sense of synchronicity, a shared chemistry, almost like a subconscious dance between two people who are connecting. It builds rapport on this deep, unspoken level, signaling, hey, we're on the same wavelength, we feel comfortable together.
But if it's forced...
If it's forced or exaggerated, it feels totally robotic and inauthentic, which of course is a huge turnoff. So the advice is, let it be an instinctual resonance if it happens. Don't try to consciously mimic their every move. That's just weird.
Okay, let it happen naturally. That's fascinating. So how else do our bodies kind of give away our thoughts without us even realizing it? Our hands, for example, they seem like such a small part of the whole equation.
Our hands are surprisingly expressive, almost like a second voice sometimes. Keeping your hands visible, maybe resting lightly on the table, or gesturing gently while you speak to emphasize a point, makes you appear more open, honest, and trustworthy.
And hidden hands. Or fidgety hands.
Yeah, hidden hands, maybe tucked under the table or jammed in pockets the whole time. Or tightly clenched fists.
Yeah.
Or excessive fidgeting, like constantly tapping or playing with something. These can convey anxiety, nervousness, or guardedness. It's almost as if you have something to hide, even if you absolutely don't. Think about it. In many cultures, showing your open hands is a signal of peace and honesty, right?
True.
So just be mindful of where your hands are. Let them be a natural extension of your expressive self. They can build or break trust without a single word.
Wow. Okay. Hands visible. Got it. And finally, in this nonverbal realm, those authentic facial expressions, how do they tie into this silent communication, and what happens when they're not authentic, when there's a disconnect?
Your facial expressions should naturally match the tone and content of the conversation. This sounds super obvious, right? But under pressure, sometimes our faces betray our true feelings, or we put on a mask. A genuine smile when something is amusing, raising your eyebrows in genuine surprise when hearing something unexpected, or nodding affirmatively to show you're following and understanding, these all show you are emotionally tuned in, responsive. They signal empathy and engagement.
And when they don't match?
A mismatch, like, say, laughing inappropriately at something serious, or maintaining a completely blank stare when the topic is clearly engaging or emotional, can feel really jarring and off-putting. It creates a sense of dissonance, not connection. It signals maybe a lack of emotional intelligence, or maybe just disinterest, which immediately breaks rapport. Your face really is a window to your level of engagement.
Okay, so we've covered a ton about preparation and interaction, from our inner game to our outer game, our nonverbal signals. But what happens when things inevitably go wrong? Because let's be totally honest, even the most perfectly planned dates can encounter bumps, awkward moments, or sometimes outright fails.
Oh, absolutely. It happens.
So let's talk about grace under pressure.
Yeah.
Handling those common first date missteps with poise.
Yes. And the core message here is that how you handle these missteps often distinguishes a good impression from a negative one. It's less about avoiding mistakes altogether, because they will happen, you're human, and much more about how you recover, how you react to the unexpected, your grace, your composure in those moments. It speaks volumes about your character and your resilience.
Okay, so let's tackle a classic scenario that sends shivers down spines. Running late. You're stuck in traffic, the train is delayed. What's the graceful, respectful way to handle that beyond just, a quick text 5 minutes after you were supposed to be there?
Immediate action is absolutely key here, and it's driven by basic respect for the other person's time. Notify your date as soon as you know you'll be late. Don't wait. Send a brief, respectful message. Don't leave them wondering or waiting indefinitely.
What should the message say?
Something simple and clear like, "So sorry, running about 10 minutes behind, unexpected traffic, on my way and will be there as fast as I can, see very soon." Then, when you arrive, acknowledge the delay briefly, sincerely, and then move on.
Don't dwell on it.
No. Lingering apologies just draw undue attention to the negative start and can make things more awkward. A simple, "Thanks so much for your patience, the traffic was a nightmare," is usually enough. Most people understand that life happens. What they don't appreciate is being left hanging without context or feeling like their time isn't valued. Your promptness in communicating the delay is itself a positive impression, showing consideration.
That's really solid advice. Manage expectations. Show respect.
Okay, what about those truly awkward moments that just happen? Maybe you totally mishear something important they said, or you accidentally spill your drink all over yourself. Or worse, maybe on them?
The moments we wish the floor would just swallow us whole. Okay, instead of freezing up or over-apologizing to the point where everyone feels uncomfortable, or just letting embarrassment completely consume you, the best response is often to try and laugh it off with grace and maybe a little self-deprecating humor.
Okay, example. Spilling the drink.
Right. You spill the coffee. Instead of freaking out, maybe a quick, "Oh, wow, guess I really want to make a splash tonight, so sorry about that, let me grab some napkins." It can not only diffuse the immediate tension, but also demonstrate confidence and ease. It shows you don't take yourself too seriously, that you're resilient, and that you're human, all of which are actually incredibly attractive qualities.
Yeah.
It transforms a potential cringe fest into maybe a moment of shared, relatable humanity. Like, oops, we've all been there. I love that. Turning a potential cringe into a moment of connection. Okay, but what if, despite all your efforts, maybe the location was fine, the conversation was okay, but you're just not feeling it? The vibe isn't there, the connection isn't sparking for you. How do you gracefully handle that without resorting to ghosting later or making the end of the date incredibly awkward?
Yeah, this happens way more often than people probably admit. The absolutely crucial thing here is avoid ghosting later and avoid feigning interest during the date if you're really not feeling a connection. That's just disrespectful to both of you, and ultimately it wastes everyone's time and emotional energy.
So what do you do instead?
You don't need a grand announcement about why you're not feeling it, or some detailed explanation of their perceived flaws. That's unkind. A simple, warm, but honest closure at the end of the date is best. Something like, "Hey, it was really nice meeting you. Thank you for your time." Respects both individuals.
That's it.
Pretty much. It's clear, it's kind, and it doesn't create false hope or ambiguity. Be polite, be clear, and then move on. Your integrity in these potentially awkward moments is actually a powerful testament to your character, even if it feels a little uncomfortable for a second.
That's a truly empathetic way to handle it. Prioritizing honesty and respect over just avoiding discomfort. Okay, now sometimes a date feels off, not because of the other person, but because you were the one who was distracted or super anxious or just not entirely yourself that day. When should you maybe consider giving it a second chance in that scenario?
This is a really nuanced but incredibly important point. It involves self-compassion and just realistic dating expectations. If the date felt off for reasons that were primarily internal to you, maybe you had a genuinely stressful day at work right before, or your nerves just completely got the better of you, preventing your true, more vibrant self from really shining through,
Yeah.
then absolutely consider maybe treating a second date as a potential do-over. This is especially true if the other person seemed genuinely warm, open, and you sense some kind of potential there, despite your own internal struggles during the first meeting.
So it's about acknowledging your own off day.
Exactly. It's acknowledging your own humanity and giving the potential connection a fairer shot, allowing your authentic personality to emerge when maybe you're feeling a bit more grounded or relaxed. It's about giving yourself grace sometimes, too.
And what about a pro tip for sensing if they're the ones who seem nervous? Because sometimes it's not you, it's them, right? And recognizing that could shift the whole dynamic.
Totally. If you sense your date is the one who's nervous, maybe they're fidgeting a lot, talking really fast, or just seem not quite themselves, you can actually gently acknowledge it. This can be a surprisingly powerful technique because it normalizes their experience and can build instant rapport.
How would you do that without sounding awkward?
Something light and relatable, Like, first dates can be a bit weird, can't they? Or is that just me feeling it? Or maybe it's always a little nerve-wracking meeting someone totally new, isn't it?
Ah, okay. Keep it general.
Yeah. This can significantly lighten the mood and normalize any discomfort they might be feeling. It builds this sense of shared understanding, maybe even trust. It lets them know they're not alone in feeling a bit awkward. And often, it actually prompts them to relax and be more themselves. It's a little act of generosity that can foster immediate connection.
That's such a human approach, isn't it? Creating a little space of shared vulnerability. Okay, now let's talk about the final act, ending the date the right way. Because those final moments, they're just as crucial as the opening scene, right? They serve as the emotional punctuation for the entire experience, leaving that lingering final impression.
They absolutely are. Just as the beginning sets the tone, the ending provides that emotional closure, that final note, and the right way to end a date. It depends entirely on the energy and the felt connection during the date itself. There's no single one-size-fits-all script, obviously, but there are definitely universal principles: clarity, respect, and emotional honesty.
Okay, so scenario one. The date went well, you felt a definite spark, maybe some chemistry, and you genuinely want to see them again. What's the best way to convey that without being too pushy or too vague and unclear?
Clarity and directness are absolutely key here. So many daters hesitate at this point. They fear rejection or maybe seeming too eager. But honestly, directness is incredibly refreshing and usually appreciated in today's dating world. Don't leave them guessing or play mind games.
So what do you actually say?
A suggested phrasing could be something like, "I had a really great time with you tonight. I'd genuinely love to do this again soon. Would you be up for that?" It's clear, it's confident, but not arrogant. It's respectful, and it politely puts the ball in their court, inviting their direct response.
Yeah.
It just shows your cards in an appealing, transparent way. No games.
Okay, clear and direct. Got it. Now, navigating the ever-tricky territory of a potential first date kiss, that moment can feel incredibly charged, full of potential awkwardness.
Oh, yeah. Caution is absolutely vital here. Never, ever force it or just assume it's going to happen. This is paramount for basic consent and comfort.
So how do you know if it's maybe appropriate?
Look for mutual body language signals first. Are they leaning in towards you? Are they maintaining lingering eye contact, maybe signaling an unspoken invitation? Are they standing physically close to you, indicating comfort and openness? If those cues are overwhelmingly positive and you feel the moment is right, consider asking. A simple, respectful, "Would it be okay if I kissed you?" shows immense respect. It avoids any potential misread advances, and it makes the moment fully consensual and actually empowering for both people. It's a moment of explicit consent that can, counterintuitively maybe, be incredibly sexy because it demonstrates your respect and emotional intelligence. Don't underestimate the power of just asking.
That's such an important point. Consent first, always. Okay, scenario two for ending the date. There's no romantic spark. The connection just isn't there for you. How do you handle that ending gracefully without leaving false hope or causing unnecessary hurt feelings?
Right. If you're honestly not feeling a romantic spark, you need to close things kindly, but also without ambiguity. The goal is clarity, without being hurtful or overly critical. Simply say something like, "Thanks so much for meeting up. I really appreciated the conversation and getting to know you a bit."
And
Crucially, do not promise to text them later or suggest a second date unless you genuinely intend to follow through. False hope is far more damaging and ultimately unkind than honest clarity in the moment, even if that honesty feels a little awkward for a second. Preserve both your dignity and theirs by being truthful and direct. It's really just a sign of maturity.
okay, be kind, be clear, be honest. And then the follow-up etiquette. After the date is over. This can be another minefield for some people, right? A place where good dates can sometimes die from miscommunication or just lack of clarity.
It absolutely matters. And it's kind of the final brushstroke on that whole first impression package. After a good date, one where you both expressed interest in seeing each other again, send a short, thoughtful message the next day. Not immediately after walking away, usually. Give it some breathing room.
And what should that message say? Make it personal.
Yeah, make it personal and maybe specific to something you genuinely enjoyed or discussed. For example, "Hey, I really enjoyed our conversation yesterday. You totally made my Monday feel like a Friday," especially talking about mention a specific shared topic. This feels personal, it highlights something positive and specific, and it leaves the door open naturally without putting intense pressure on setting up date number 2 immediately.
Okay. And what if the connection wasn't mutual? You ended it clearly, but should you still send a message?
If you ended it clearly in person, you might not need to. But if maybe it was a bit ambiguous, or if they text you first hoping for more, a respectful message can still go a long way. Something like, thanks again for meeting up yesterday. Like I mentioned, I don't think we're quite the right romantic fit, but I really did enjoy meeting you and learning about maybe mention something specific you discussed again. This just preserves dignity for both parties and provides clean closure, allowing both of you to move forward without any lingering questions or confusion.
We've talked so much about the in-person interactions, the dates themselves. But in 2025, let's be real, the true first impression often happens long before you even meet face-to-face.
Oh, absolutely. The online world.
Let's dive into making a great first impression there. Your dating profile, in many ways, is the actual initial impression, isn't it? And it's often your only shot to make someone pause and swipe right instead of left.
It truly is your digital handshake, your personal billboard, so you got to make it count. Let's start with your photos because they are paramount. They're the first thing people see and often the primary reason they even pause long enough to read your bio.
So what makes for good profile photos?
You need a clear, well-lit headshot that captures your face.
Yeah.
Well, ideally, smiling authentically, looking approachable. Include a clear full-body image, too, so people can get a sense of your general physique and style. No surprises later.
Okay. What else?
And crucially, include 1 or 2 pictures that actually reveal your personality and interests. This could be you hiking, playing music, genuinely laughing with friends, but make sure it's clear who you are, engaging in a hobby you love.
The key principle here.
Authenticity trumps perfection. Avoid filters or heavily edited photos at all costs. They just create unrealistic expectations and will absolutely erode trust later when you meet in person and don't look like your filtered picture. That dissonance is a huge turnoff.
Yeah, the catfish effect, even unintentionally.
Exactly. Also, generally avoid tons of group photos where you're hard to spot, excessive bathroom mirror selfies, maybe shirtless gym selfies, unless that's really your core identity.
Right.
Or those photos where an ex has clearly awkwardly been cropped out. You want to present who you genuinely are, not some filtered fantasy and definitely not a mystery they have to solve.
That's such a common mistake, isn't it? People try so hard to be perfect online when authentic and approachable are often far more appealing.
Okay, so once you have those authentic photos sorted, what about your bio? How do you make that stand out in just a sea of generic descriptions?
Your bio is your big chance to really show your individuality, maybe hint at your values, showcase your unique sense of humor, all in just a few short lines. The biggest mistake, using those tired, overused cliches that appear on every other profile.
Like what? Give us the cringe list.
Like, I love to travel and enjoy good food, or looking for my partner in crime, or fluent in sarcasm. Ugh. Everyone loves travel and food. It tells us absolutely nothing specific about you.
So what should people write instead?
Write something specific, human, and memorable. Something that gives a glimpse into your actual personality. For example, instead of a cliche, try something like, I'm the type of person who'll sing the wrong lyrics on purpose just to make you laugh, and bonus points. I make a mean breakfast burrito.
Okay, that's specific. Right. It's specific, it shows humor, maybe a little bit of playfulness, and it tells a tiny story about your personality and even hints at a potential shared experience. Breakfast burritos. Or maybe. Currently obsessed with true crime podcasts, but equally happy binging bad reality TV on the couch. Seeking someone who appreciates both the cerebral and the utterly absurd.
I like that. It shows range.
Exactly. It offers hooks for conversation, and it paints a much clearer picture of your actual interests and maybe your emotional range. Just make it easy for someone to spark a conversation about something genuine to you.
That's such a great example. It instantly creates a more vivid picture and gives people easy conversation starters.
Okay, and then, once you match, comes the dreaded first message. We all know the simple hey or hi is still way too common.
Oh, the low-effort openers. A simple hey or hi is frankly insufficient in 2025's dating pool. It just shows minimal effort, zero genuine curiosity about them, but it makes you seem pretty uninspired.
So what's the best practice instead? The best practice is always to reference something specific you notice in their profile, and then follow up with a creative, open-ended question that shows you actually read what they wrote or looked at their pictures.
Okay, give me an example. Let's say their profile mentions a love for documentaries.
Okay. You could say something like, hey, saw you love documentaries. Have you seen that new David Attenborough one about the deep-sea creatures? I'm looking for something fascinating to watch this weekend.
Ah, connects to their interest, asks a question.
Exactly. Or if they mention a quirky hobby, like maybe collecting vintage board games, you could say, wow, your profile says you collect vintage board games. That's so cool. What's the rarest one you own? And do you ever actually play them? Or are they mostly for display?
Nice.
This shows you actually read their profile, you're engaged with who they seem to be, and you're inviting a genuine conversation, not just firing off a generic opener. It makes them feel seen and valued right from that very first interaction.
That's a huge difference. It immediately sets you apart from the lazy hey crowd. Okay, and as modern dating progresses, video or FaceTime dates are becoming way more common, especially before committing to an in-person meet. How should those be approached to make sure you're making a great virtual first impression?
Treat them with exactly the same level of respect and preparation as you would an in-person meeting. Seriously. This means ensuring you have a clean and tidy background. A pile of laundry or an unmade bed in the shot is a definite no-go.
Right. Check your background.
Absolutely. Make sure you have good, preferably natural lighting so they can see you clearly without weird shadows. And yes, please, wear real pants, not just a nice top with pajama bottoms.
The Zoom uniform.
Exactly. Your visible effort or the lack thereof is communicated so clearly through the screen. If you show up looking disheveled or your background is a total mess, it sends a clear signal about your level of intentionality and respect for the date, even if you're just in your living room.
Any other tips for video dates?
Yeah, also be mindful of eye contact. Try to look into the camera lens when you're speaking as much as possible, rather than just staring at your own image on the screen. That creates a better sense of connection. And minimize distractions in your periphery, turn off notifications, maybe close some unnecessary tabs. This is your chance to demonstrate real presence and engagement, even through a screen.
That's incredibly practical advice we can all definitely use. Okay, finally, let's talk about the bounce back. Handling rejection, moving forward, because let's be totally honest, not every first date is going to ignite fireworks or even a tiny sparkler. It's just part of the dating landscape.
That's the absolute truth, and accepting that is such a critical mindset shift for anyone dating. A date that doesn't go well in the traditional sense, meaning it doesn't lead to a second date or a romance, is not wasted time. It's actually an opportunity for profound growth and learning, if you let it be.
So how do we reframe it? Reframe failure as feedback.
Exactly. That's the key. If the conversation didn't flow or the chemistry felt totally flat, it doesn't mean you failed as a person or that you're somehow inadequate or unlovable. It simply means there wasn't a mutual fit or alignment in that particular pairing, which is perfectly normal and happens to literally everyone who dates.
So what should we reflect on instead?
Use the experience to reflect internally. Ask yourself, was I present during the date? Did I feel aligned with my own intention for dating? Did I genuinely enjoy being myself in that interaction?
Yeah.
Those are the real markers of a successful personal outcome, regardless of whether there's a second date on the horizon.
It's so easy to internalize rejection, though, isn't it? To feel like you weren't good enough or that something is inherently wrong with you when someone isn't interested. How do we break that really damaging cycle?
You've hit on the absolute core challenge for so many people. Too often, daters internalize rejection as this definitive statement about their personal inadequacy, turning it into a painful narrative about their self-worth. But the truth is, dating is fundamentally about finding mutual alignment. It's not about winning someone over or convincing them to like you against their will. Your goal isn't to change yourself into someone else's ideal partner. It's to discover who truly resonates with you, who aligns with your authentic self, and who sees and appreciates your unique value just as you are.
So it's about compatibility, not a personal failing.
Precisely. This perspective shift is absolutely crucial for your emotional well-being and resilience in the often challenging dating world. Remember, not every lock has the same key, and that is perfectly fundamentally okay.
And what about emotional boundaries in this context? This seems incredibly important, especially if you're someone who tends to get attached quickly or maybe spiral emotionally after dating letdowns.
Establishing strong emotional boundaries is incredibly important here, yes. If you find yourself consistently getting attached super quickly or spiraling into self-doubt or deep sadness after just one or two dates don't go well, it might be time for some gentle self-inquiry before your next encounter.
Like asking yourself what?
Ask yourself honestly, am I projecting a fantasy onto this person based on very limited information? Or am I genuinely curious about who they really are as they reveal themselves? This helps prevent unnecessary emotional entanglement too early on, and it protects your heart. Remember, you're there initially to learn about them, to explore a potential connection, not to instantly fall into some preconceived narrative or attach desperately to an idealized version of them before you even know them. Maintain that healthy emotional space until genuine connection is clearly reciprocated.
Okay. And sometimes, let's be real, sometimes we are our own worst enemies or we're simply having a really off day. What if you were the one who didn't show up as your best self and you know it? You were super nervous or distracted by work stress or just genuinely not feeling great.
Yeah, that's okay. It absolutely happens to everyone. First, acknowledge that. Sometimes, due to nerves or external distractions or just being emotionally drained, you might not present your true vibrant self. That's just part of being human.
So what can you do about it after the fact?
Well, if you feel there was a genuine connection trying to peek through despite your off day, or you sensed some real potential there, consider sending an honest, maybe slightly vulnerable follow-up message.
Like what? What would that sound like?
Maybe something like, "Hey, reflecting on our chat yesterday, I feel like I wasn't totally myself. I was honestly a bit nervous, distracted by brief, non-excuse reason if appropriate, but I genuinely enjoyed our conversation. If you'd be open to it, I'd love a second chance to connect when I'm feeling a bit more grounded."
Is that risky? Being that vulnerable?
It can feel risky, but vulnerability, when offered genuinely and appropriately, can actually be incredibly attractive and disarming. It shows self-awareness, courage, and respect for the other person, enough to be honest. It might not always work, but it's often worth a shot if you felt something real was missed.
So the million-dollar question then, the one everyone always wants to know, can a bad first impression truly be reversed? Or is it basically a death sentence for any potential connection?
Yes. Sometimes a bad first impression can absolutely be reversed. It is not always a death sentence.
Under what conditions?
If that initial bad impression was clearly due to temporary factors, like nerves getting the better of you, or a simple miscommunication, or just some temporary awkward energy that doesn't actually reflect your true self, then yes, a second date can indeed feel like a reset.
Okay.
It provides an opportunity for your authentic personality to shine through properly, for more context to be built between you, and for a different, more relaxed dynamic to hopefully emerge.
But when should you maybe just accept it didn't work?
However, if the core issue on that first date was a fundamental mismatch in core values, or maybe a clear display of disrespect from either side, or just a profound lack of chemistry that simply isn't going to magically appear, then it's generally best to move forward with grace and trust your instincts. Some things just aren't meant to be fixed or forced, and that's okay too. Knowing the difference is key.
And finally, when should you, the listener, consider giving someone else a second chance? If their first impression was maybe a little shaky or awkward, what are the green flags for maybe giving it a do-over?
That's a great question. If you sense some underlying kindness in them, if you felt they made a genuine effort despite maybe being awkward, and if you sense some emotional availability there, but something just felt slightly off, perhaps due to their nerves, a slight awkwardness, or maybe just initial discomfort in a new situation, then yeah, a second date is usually worth exploring.
Why?
Because chemistry often develops and strengthens as comfort and familiarity grow between two people. And people often present their best, most relaxed selves once those initial first date jitters subside. Give it a chance to unfold.
But when should you trust your gut and say no?
However, if you left that first date feeling genuinely drained or disrespected or consistently unheard or just fundamentally misaligned on core values that really matter to you, honor that instinct. Trust your gut. In those cases, it's perfectly okay and probably wise to respectfully decline further engagement. Your feelings are valid data points, and protecting your energy and well-being is absolutely paramount in dating.
Okay, as we wrap up this deep dive, let's just maybe reiterate that core message. The most unforgettable first impressions. They aren't really about flawlessness, are they? They are about realness.
Exactly. They're made by individuals who show up with that clear intention we talked about, who listen with genuine interest, who speak with authenticity, and who, importantly, allow space for natural imperfection. It's often in those little imperfections, paradoxically, that real human connection often blossoms.
And in a dating world that just feels increasingly fast-paced, maybe filtered, often performative, your true competitive advantage, maybe the thing that really makes you stand out, it's presence.
Absolutely. It means being genuinely engaged in the moment, being clear on your own personal values and boundaries, and being deeply respectful of the other person's time, their space, and their unique story. It's about bringing your whole authentic self to the table, not just some carefully curated, perfect version.
So let's be really clear here. You don't need perfect looks. You don't need expensive clothes. You don't need clever, pre-rehearsed lines to be truly memorable. You definitely don't need to be someone you're not.
So what do you need?
What you truly need, it seems, is curiosity, that genuine desire to actually know someone else. You need self-awareness to understand your own intentions, your boundaries, your impact. And yeah, you probably need a bit of courage. Courage to be vulnerable sometimes, courage to laugh off the awkward moments, and the courage to simply be yourself intentionally.
Beautifully put.
So the next time you're preparing for a first date, maybe don't ask yourself, how can I impress them? Instead, maybe ask yourself, how can I show up today as the most grounded, generous, and genuinely curious version of myself and just actually enjoy the process of getting to know someone new?
That's how truly great first impressions are made. And ultimately, that's what genuinely leads to real, authentic connection.
If this deep dive gave you value, share it with someone you care about, hit subscribe, and maybe leave us a review.
Your support really helps us bring more valuable insights like this directly to you.